Meanwhile, it's getting a little easier flying these days. I don't want to overstate it here. You'll still deal with crowds. You'll still deal, now and then with a few people with a bit of a temper. You just have to move around me, though, at the airport, and you'll be fine. Ray Lahood joins us right now, the former U.S. Secretary of Transportation under Barack Obama. Secretary, great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Neil. Good to see you.
Same here. Secretary, what do you make of the problems flyers are having? The airlines have already agreed, almost every airline, to curtail its schedule, to stagger flights. In the case of United, even to limit where they go. A number of small cities off United's map now, and still problems. What do you make of it?
Well, I think what the Secretary is doing, Secretary Buttigieg, is important. He's been meeting with the airline executives and trying to figure out what the solutions are. One of the things, Neil, that I've thought about is, this idea that pilots have to retire at 65. I think it's well within the realm of possibility that DOT and the FAA could extend that in a temporary basis until enough other pilots are trained and hired on the airlines. And I really believe that's something they ought to think about. If the pilot shortage is a big part of the problem, then they ought to trigger some kind of a temporary fix for that. And but I think the airlines are working hard to try and fix the problem, but it obviously is very frustrating for passengers.
Yeah, and the closer I get to that age myself, Secretary, the more I'm open to increasing it. But I did raise it with Pete Buttigieg, the Transportation Secretary. He did not seem too keen on it. This is from Pete Buttigieg. Comes to pilots, and I think the retirement age remains 65. Should it? Would you be for increasing that to increase the pool of available workers then who could fly these planes that oftentimes they're begging to find pilots?
Look, I'm much more interested in raising the bar on things like compensation and job quality than lowering the bar on something like safety. And when you get to these training hours, the retirement age and those things, those are fundamentally safety regulations. The United States of America should be able to have a robust aviation system without watering down our expectations on safety.
What struck me there, Secretary, his boss is going to be 80 years old. And as an expert, nothing wrong with that. That's fine. We have surgeons, heart surgeons, cardiologists, of course, well into their 70s, still doing the job. And I just wonder why the 65 limit for pilots. I could say maybe a 75 limit, 70. Each one is their own age group. I get it. But that would do a lot to ease this pilot shortage we have, wouldn't it?
Neil, I think this. I think when we've gone through what we've gone through over the last 2+ years, and there's a pilot shortage, we need to find a temporary fix. And I think it would be incumbent upon. I get the safety aspect of it, and I applaud the Secretary for emphasizing safety, and I applaud the airlines for emphasizing safety. But I think in this interim period here, when there's a shortage of pilots, it's well within the ability of DOT and the FAA to say, hey, maybe for 18 months, we're going to waive this requirement, allow these pilots to fly that are 65 and older, and while we're hiring and training new pilots. And I think given what we've been through in the last 2.5 years, it's legitimate to do that for the very thing that you said, which is there are a lot of other professions that allow their professional people to continue to practice, whether it's medicine or whatever, well beyond the age of 65.
I'm trying to do it in reverse, Secretary, here at Fox, and getting rid of anyone who's under 60. This way it makes life much easier for me. But stepping back, you've been hearing all the press back and forth and the troubles for President Biden. Now, you worked in the Obama administration. He was the vice president. A lot of these Democrats are concerned about whether he should be heading the ticket in 2024. How do you feel about all that?
I think that what the president has done in the last year and a half is quite extraordinary. He said he was going to take care of COVID, and he did it. He took care of COVID. He said he was going to pass a multi-year transportation bill, something that President Trump talked about but never did, even though he had the votes to do it. $1 trillion transportation bill, thanks in large part to President Biden, and he was able to get 17 Republicans in the Senate.
No, you're right about that. There are a lot of
forward.
things he's done that maybe we're getting lost in the sauce with the inflation, with the tumble in the markets, but his poll numbers are at record lows for a reason. I'm wondering that Americans have just had it with him or frustrated. What do you think?
I think that he won the last election, and we won't know how popular he is until there's another election, and I believe he's going to run for re-election. I think he should run for re-election, and I think he should base it on his record of doing what he said he was going to do for the American people. I know inflation is out of control. I know the economy's abysmal, but I think the things they put in place, not only with the Fed chair and the Federal Reserve, but their own solutions, eventually will work, Neil. And 2 years from now, when we're looking at another election, we'll judge him on what he did for the past 3.5 years. That's how he ought to be judged, not on the first year and a half, but he's trying to fix these things. And I think what he's done internationally is quite extraordinary. But look, I know the economy will be the issue, and it's certainly going to be the issue in the midterm elections. But, let's give the guy a little break here. He's done a hell of a lot and accomplished a hell of a lot. And he's done it with a very slim majority in the Congress.
All right. Well, I didn't think you were going to trash the guy, but I just found it very interesting. I thought I'd get you at a weak elder moment where you would do that, but you didn't. Ray Lahood, thank you very much. Very good seeing you.
Neil, thank you. Always good to be with you. Always.
The former Transportation Secretary of the United